This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone, my name is Jay Berkowitz and I'm pleased to present our monthly webinar series. This month we're going to be talking about the ABCs of SEO, or search engine optimization. And essentially what we're talking about today is the free SEO at the bottom of a Google search. This is a search for personal injury attorney near me, and of course the ads appear at the top, and then the Google Map Pack, the 3 map search results show next. And that's the first organic result. And we talked about that in last month's webinar. So if you haven't seen that, be happy to share that link with you. But today we're here about the organic results. And a lot of consumers prefer to click on the original 10 organic results. If you remember in the good old days, the Google ads would appear on the right-hand side beside the organic. But now the ads appear on the top just like they appear in a mobile search. It looks the same on a cell phone or a desktop. And as you scroll down, today we're all focused on how do you get in this organic area. Now there's over 600 factors in Google's mathematical algorithm. So what we want to do is we want to simplify this so that even I can understand it and I can explain it to you. So the ABCs of SEO are those simple applications of what you can do to improve your SEO. So the first thing is the architecture. How can you architect your website so it's friendly to the search engines? Because really what we're doing here is we're trying to sort of reverse engineer, or we're trying to set up an algorithm so that we can come up on high in this organic result, and everything we do on the ABCs is also going to impact our map results. So we want to structure the architecture of our website so that we have the best chance to come up on the first page of a Google search. The second thing is backlinks. And people often get confused by this. Backlinks are links from another website back to your website. So I'm just muting here because we've got a few. We've got a little feedback. So the architecture of the website, the backlinks, other sites that link to your website. This is not something you can do on your website. This is when another website links to you. And the C is the content, everything you add to your website, all the articles and photos and videos that you add on your website that improve your chance of being found for a keyword phrase, right? Like here's a search for personal injury attorney near me. If a law firm website doesn't say they're a personal injury attorney, they only say that they're like a car accident attorney or different kinds of attorneys. They've got to make sure that they have the words that they want to be found for on their website. Anyways, we'll get into all of this in detail, but really what it's all about is coming up in these search results. Here's one of our clients, and they come up in the map result and the 1, 2, 3, the number 3 SEO result for the main keyword phrase that they want to rank for. Here's another one of our clients who's a securities arbitration lawyer, and they come up in the paid result. They've actually got 2 of their locations, so they're located right here near us in Florida and about 15 miles away. Both of their locations came up in the search I did in my office, and then they also come up in an organic result. We're also going to touch on the new Google algorithm change called BERT. And this one is a little bit of fun, and we're going to spend a little bit of time on it. And Google's always changing their algorithms. And up until now, they used a lot of animal names. So we'll talk a little bit about panda and penguin and hummingbird and pigeon. But really what I want to focus on is just the basics of SEO. The algorithm updates is more something that the webmasters concern themselves with when we do a much more technical kind of training. So for today, we're really just going to focus on the ABCs, or the basic fundamental principles of SEO, and how you can get your website to rank in Google and the other search engines. Now, as I mentioned, my name is Jay Berkowitz, and I speak at conferences all around the world talking about things like SEO and PPC. I'm writing my 4th book called Digital Future, and our agency is called 10 Golden Rules, and we're a digital marketing agency based in Florida, and our partner agency, Snap Agency, is based in Minneapolis. So let's get right into the ABCs. First off is architecture. And as I mentioned, this is basically the structure of your website. And the simplest way to understand that is with the sitemap. Now, first off, every website should have a sitemap. So it's a basic sort of architecture or map that people, if they're a little bit lost and they're looking for something specifically, they can find a specific page on your website. Now, the sitemap also is beneficial for the search engines because remember, there's no one at Google who's personally going and looking at your website. This is a spider, or if you will, an automated robot that's coming and looking at your website. And so if they find the sitemap, they can find links to all of the pages on your website. So that's a basic foundational building block of the architecture of your website and how you can search engine optimize your website. You're optimizing it for the search engines, right? That's what that term means. Think of this like the index page for a book. It gives you a guideline to the entire book, and the sitemap gives Google a guideline to the entire website. The next thing you want to have is nice, clean code, simple and easy for the search engines to read. If you right-click on your website and you look at a view page source, and the code looks relatively clean and simple and line by line, or if it's just one big block and one big mess, that's a top-line analysis you can do. But really, this is something you're going to have to take up with your Webmaster, unless you're a coder yourself. The meta tags title. So there's some simple basic building blocks of the architecture. In the old days, the title used to appear up here on a browser, but now really it's mostly in the background. And the title is a chance for you to get the keywords that you're focused on the page itself into the code. So you put that in the title tag in the code in the back end of the website. Other things you want to do is things like header tags. Each headline on the website should have an H1 tag. And the alt tags and image names, for example, each picture should have an alt tag and an image name, and you want to include keyword phrases in those alt tags on the website. Again, you don't have to do this, you just have to take it up with your Webmaster for the most part. Now, we're getting into a little bit more sophistication, but in addition to the sitemap that's on your website, you want to also have an XML sitemap. And you do this by installing Search Console, which used to be called Webmaster Tools. And these XML sitemaps basically feed the information of your entire architecture of your website to Google and the other search engines. So now you don't have to rely on the spider coming and finding your sitemap, but you can actually feed this information every time you're updating your website. So you want to install Search Console, also formerly called Webmaster Tools. And it basically has all the tools to build and submit a sitemap. And Search Console has some valuable things that, like it confirms Google's crawling your site, it fixes indexing problems, it basically points out any problems you have on the website. So just with a quick look at one of our client sites on Search Console, we were able to identify 15 errors and then go and fix those errors on their website. The other thing you want to install from an analytics standpoint is Google Analytics. And this gives you tremendous information about how your website's performing. Where are people coming in? How many pages are they looking at? The term bounce rate, how many are they bouncing off your website without looking at lots of pages, or are they going deep onto your website? For example, on this website, we find out that 91,000 of our visitors came through organic search or the free SEO search. That's really great. The next thing you want to look at is site speed. And this tool called Lighthouse is actually a Google tool. So you can find it in the Google Dev. But if you just search like Lighthouse site speed, you'll find this tool. And then you can run an analysis of the performance of the website. And this was a website we did an audit on, and then we went and fixed a bunch of performance things to improve the speed of the website. Now, why is that important? Think of all these things from a consumer perspective, or basically from a search engine perspective. What is Google trying to do? They're trying to give good results when someone does a search. Why do they want to do that? Because they want you to use Google, right? So if their results work really well, they're going to keep giving your site search results. But if your website, if somebody clicks to your website and then comes immediately back to Google because it wasn't loading quickly or because they didn't have the information they were looking for, Google is going to start ranking your site down the search engine, and it's going to decrease your performance in SEO. So all of these things are really, really important in how we optimize SEO, search engine optimize our website. So we want to do the web speed test, and then you want to go in and do a bunch of things that they suggest to improve the SEO on your website, to improve the speed on the website. The other thing that's even more important today, maybe than your actual desktop speed, is your mobile test. So if you just search Google mobile test, you can run this test on any website. It comes up right on the homepage of a Google search, and then run the test for your website and your client's websites, and you'll find out if your mobile page is mobile friendly or Google friendly, basically. Very, very important. Another tip, a vast majority of websites, over 50% of new websites today, are developed in Yoast. Now, if your website is custom coded, you're not going to need to use a plugin. But if you have a WordPress website, as I said, over 50% of new websites today are WordPress, the number one plugin is the Yoast plugin. And what this allows you to do is sort of update those meta tags we talked about, and it gives you a lot of diagnostic information as well on the website. Another thing that's really, really valuable and important in optimizing your website is thinking about your internal links. So we're going to talk about those external links in a minute. But these are internal links from like your home page to an internal page. So this is a website called DUI Attorney, and they probably want to rank for searches for driving under the influence attorney. And the internal links link to the DUI Attorney page. So one of the strategies that you want to utilize is internal links to important internal pages. You also want to have a 404 error page. Now, part of this is for usability and part of this is for the algorithms. But if you can have a little bit of a fun 404 error page, that's great. And in this one, these guys are blaming the webmasters. And it says, one of our development team must be punished for this unacceptable failure. And you get to pick who to fire. And evidently Luke had a bad day because he got fired that day. But that's a fun one. But what's really valuable is if you can have a 404 error page that takes advantage of someone getting lost. Now, I didn't explain what a 404 error is. That's when somebody searches, like if they went to my website and they went to 10goldenrules.com and then they typed in, Jay Berkowitz, but they spelt my name wrong, and they put that at the end of 10goldenrules.com. So 10goldenrules.com/ something incorrect. Now, a lot of times other websites link to wrong pages on your website. The webmaster is trying to link to your website, but he puts in the wrong information. It's like a typo. So in this case, Steve Madden's doing a great job with the 404 error page, because what they're doing is they said, hey, this is awkward. This page took the day off, but down here are hot items, and they're referring you to hot items, or they're allowing you to do a search on the site. So making that 404 error page work for you works for a couple different reasons. It helps with the consumer usability. It also helps from a search engine optimization standpoint. And a couple sort of more advanced tips, but these are important, so you want to talk to your webmaster about them if you don't know how to do it yourself, is you want to add schema markup. And basically Google, Microsoft, and a number of other web companies came together to create vocabularies that would be consistent for the webmasters and give websites maximum benefit. So one of the schema markups is for location, and then there's schema markups for other things like shopping websites and all kinds of different functionality. There's about 20 of them now. But basically, if you include the schema markup, you have an opportunity for things like your ratings to come up in an actual Google search. It also is going to improve your map results that we talked about, the Google Maps at the top of those searches. And finally, you want to look for broken links. And this report is typically going to come out of your Search Console. And we found these for one of our clients, and then we went in and fixed all of these broken links. And I think the last thing we're going to talk about in architecture is AMP, or Accelerated Mobile Pages. And basically the importance of AMP is you create a very simple page for a mobile phone. You don't have like flash and things moving and the kind of things you might have on a desktop. You make that page very, very clean and you follow Google's guidelines for AMP. And basically you have a chance to come up in this first search position if your page is the sort of the best mobile page. All right, so that's the first section, the architecture. What can you do on your website? Sometimes we call it on-page SEO or SEO we can control on our website. So you're going to install analytics in Google Search Console. That's going to give you diagnostic about things like broken pages and broken links on your website. You want to make sure the code is very clean. And again, this is something you probably want to address with a webmaster and have someone educated have a look at this. But if you look at it just by right-clicking and looking at the text on the page, and if it looks like one big jumbled block of text, you can improve that by cleaning up that code. You want to make sure you don't have a huge text ratio, meaning that you've got like 5,000 words of text in your code and you've only got like 200 words on your page. You've got to look at your page speed, and we gave you a tool, Lighthouse, to test that. You want to do the Google mobile test. You want to put meta tags like the title tag, headers, and images. And the final advanced tips we shared is to add AMP, accelerated mobile pages, and Schema, which are specific codes that are going to help your website perform better in the search engines. So the first section is architecture, things you can do on your website. The next section is backlinks. So a backlink is a link from another website linking to your website. And here's Scott Silver again, one of the attorneys we mentioned. And this link from Cornell University links to Scott's website. Now that is an awesome link, because the more important of a link you can get and the more relevant link you can get, the more value it includes in Google's eyes. So think of links kind of like votes for your website. The more votes you can get, the better. But the more votes from important websites, Google puts a lot more value on that. And importance is defined by things like relevance. So this is not only Cornell University, but it's the Cornell University Law School linking to a law firm website. Very, very highly valuable, right? And in addition, if that link also comes from a hard to get place, right? Like this link just didn't come from like a knitting blog. It came from a law school. So, it's very hard to get those links from .edus. So typically you get a lot of value when you get links from important websites. Another way to think about links is basically think about the whole environment that's linking to your website. So, here's a whole bunch of things that are related to and linked to 10 golden rules. And, if it's a bunch of things about internet and about marketing, those links become very, very valuable. So, think of, just the linkosphere, if you will, of all the other websites that link to your website and other websites that link to relevant websites that then link to your website. So here's a bunch of other internet-related companies linking to this website that links to 10 golden rules. Now, another very important sort of little soundbite on links is that it's not just about the number of links, and it's not just about the SEO value of links, but links also build traffic to your website. And I know that's kind of obvious, but sometimes overlooked, because some links, like if you get a link from Wikipedia, it's going to put traffic to your website, but there's something called a no-follow link on those pages. So every time that your website gets mentioned, every time there's a blue activated underlined little thing that someone can click and it comes to your website, that's going to bring traffic to your website. So when we look at this website, we got 193,000 visits from 1,800 different sources that came to the website. So very, very powerful that we get links, not only for the SEO value, but also for the traffic value. So hopefully you're asking yourself the obvious question. I now get it. If I get more links to my website's going to come up in the SEO. So I need to get more links. How do you get more links? Well, one of the best ways is to write really great content. One of the things we're talking about in the industry these days is you want to have the best piece of content to answer a specific question or query on the web. Well, how do you do that? Well, one of the ways is you go and look at a search and look at who's ranking in the first, second, or third position. You're probably going to find that they have a page with a tremendous answer to that query or question. Here's an example of a link to a law firm from USA Today. And here's the link, and it's an article about what to do, check for a concussion, but basically, it says, here's the things to do after having an accident. And if you do this Google search, things to do after a car accident, we find that this website has a ton of really great links, including that link from USA Today. So they wrote this article, 10 things to do after a car accident. They created a graphic. You see the graphic comes up. And they basically created a great piece of content all about what to do after you're in a car accident. And so they have a chance. The law firm wants to rank for what to do after a car accident, because obviously one of the things they want you to do is call the law firm. So developing really, really, really great content is kind of like the #1 thing that you want to do for links, because there's a lot of little tricks that you can do to improve your SEO. And things like people do things like buying links and things like that. But basically what you want to do is you want to make sure you're getting organic, authentic links. That's the #1 thing Google wants, and that's the #1 thing that's going to show in your results, is getting links from real legitimate websites, not buying links or trading links or trying to trick Google. I always say it's not nice to fool Mother Nature. So in your best case scenario, you want to get links from great content on your website. I mean, really, that's what Google is going to tell you to do. Some other things you have to do, and this is just basic blocking and tackling of link building. Here's our client, Fears Nachawati, and they've got a link from the AVO website, which is a lawyer directory, FindLaw. Any directories or industry associations are great places to get links. Here's a link. We wrote an article for one of our clients' websites. We got a link to 10 golden rules. I wrote an article for an industry publication, and we got a link. Here's another strategy we call link bait. And essentially, we created a list of the top 10 internet marketing trade shows, and we linked out to all these trade shows, and then we told the trade shows, hey, you're on the link of the top 10 internet marketing trade shows. And I know for a fact we got a link from Affiliate Summit and some of these other trade shows. So it's a great way to get links to your website. And back in the day, we were #1 for that search result. Another thing to be aware of when you do a link analysis, and there's a number of tools that you can do a link analysis. Your Webmaster tools are what Google now calls Search Console, which we recommended installing on your website. Will give you a lot of this information. And there's 2 things to be aware of, 2 key stats. One is the total backlinks. So how many other websites, how many total links do you have? But something that's even more important is how many individual domains. Because let's say the same website links to your website 10 times, Google doesn't count that as 10 links. They only count that as 1 link. So each website or domain counts as 1 link to your website. Now, the second thing you want to be cautious of is a lot of websites did a lot of bad things to build their links over 10 to 5 years ago. And back then, it used to just be, if you could get lots of links, you got a lot of votes, basically, and you came up in the search engines. But then Google started learning that people were buying links and trading links and, not negotiating for links. And essentially, they made it illegal in their terms of service to buy links. And so if you've got links from places like zz9.ru or furforum.ru in Russia, or this one, Zox999, that is actually a danger link. You can even see they've got a danger icon on there. Or furforum.ru, like some crazy website in Russia. And you're a law firm or you're a medical office here in North America, those are probably links that someone bought for your website years ago. And you want to make sure you get rid of those links. So what you do is, first and foremost, you ask the webmaster on that website to remove you from the website. because you can't change what's on somebody else's website, right? Anybody can link to your website. But then failing that, after you try and remove all the bad links or spammy links, what you're going to do is what's called a disavow. And you can do that through your Search Console, and you tell Google, I disavow these links. I didn't ask for them, I don't want them, I don't associate with them. And so you're able to disavow. You also want to go and get a bunch of links that aren't activated links. So things like LinkedIn and Facebook, you want to make sure all your social profiles are in place. Because even though Google doesn't give you a direct A to B link value for this, it does recognize all the other places that link to your website, and it gives you authenticity. There's a term called a citation. And basically, if like, let's say your local chamber of commerce lists your company, and it might even list your website, but it doesn't have an activated link to your website, or it's a no follow link, that's still like a vote in Google. It doesn't count as highly in the vote algorithm, but it's very, very important that you get listed in all the right places. So what are some of the ways we can get links? Like, more than anything, we want natural links. We can get links from our clients and vendors, associations and organizations. We don't want to do the paid listings, but we can be in the paid industry directories. Directory submissions, so things like industry associations, blogging and guest articles. That little trick we had of creating a list, like the top 10 list of things in your industry, to get those, like the trade shows, which I did, to get the trade shows to link back to say, hey, we're on this link of the top 10. Social profiles and article syndication. All right, so the next section is all about content. The A is the architecture of your website. The B is the backlinks, other sites linking to your site. And the C is content. Now, this is something that you can control on your website, right? So this is now like the architecture. We could control the architecture of the website. The content, the articles and images on our website, we can control that. The middle section, the backlinks, we can't control. That's other people linking to our website, right? So now we're back to something we can control on our website. So we want to write lots and lots of great articles on our website. And essentially, we want to include the keyword phrases that we want to be ranked for. It's pretty simple when you actually drill it down, right? Like if you want to come up for investors, James Flynn ripped off a bunch of investors in Greenville, South Carolina, you've got to get the words investors in Greenville, South Carolina, and James Flynn on your website. You've got to write an article. Now, a lot of times we spend too much time, in my opinion, worrying about Google's latest change. And Google's latest algorithm is called BERT. Now, it has nothing to do with the Sesame Street character. But Google's always had names for their algorithms, or the industry, we give them names. So Panda was actually created, the coder that led the Panda team was a guy named, I think it was Naveed Panda. And so it became known as the Panda algorithm, but it had nothing to do with bears, and the industry was really confused when it first came out. But essentially what Panda was all about was about content quality and the design and the site performance. The next big algorithm update was about Penguin, that penalized those bad links I talked about. You never want to buy links to a website. And Pyra prevented copyright, and Exact Match was WW, and then the Hummingbird was about a name for a new overall search algorithm. Social signals we talked about. Pigeon was focused on relevant local results. And RankBrain was a really significant update where essentially building on Google's ability to understand semantic human language. So, for example, our company, 10 Golden Rules, was always written as TEN, but with RankBrain and artificial intelligence and machine learning, Google can understand that if somebody searches the number 10, they're looking for 10 golden rules because they know these are the same things. Now, this is a history of Google algorithm updates, and I have a whole presentation on this. We don't want to get into much detail today, but within the last couple of weeks, Google has announced this BERT algorithm update. BERT is not nothing to do with Sesame Street, but it's the bidirectional encoder representations from transformers. Essentially, this is building on Google's ability to understand natural language. Basically, what words in a sentence mean with nuances of content. So like we talked about earlier, the word TEN and the number 1010, Google was building intelligence in that. Now Google's building even deeper understanding of NLP, or natural language processing. Now, according to Google, BERT is the most significant update in 5 years, and it's impacting 10% of search queries. But really what it is telling us, and what Google tells us from day one, over and over and over, and with all the algorithm updates they make, is right for humans, not for search engines. Basically, right to answer the questions people are asking when they come to your website. And therefore, if they ask the question in a search engine, your website answers that question in the best manner possible. You have a higher likelihood of coming up in the search engines. I interviewed Matt Cutts, Google's search engine spam cop, if you will. He used to speak at all the conferences on behalf of Google. I interviewed him on my podcast 7 or 8 years ago, a long time ago now. And basically, Matt expressed it this way. He said the best way to have success with search engine optimization is the apple a day strategy. Of course, I said, what's that? He said, well, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And a page of new content a day on your website is the best way to optimize your website. So if you can't do a page a day, do a page every week and update your website with really, really great content. Now, back when Matt gave me this quote 7 or 8 years ago, it was more about volume, lots and lots of pages on your website. But Matt would tell us today that it's about high quality. So you want to, like I said earlier, the best answer to the question or the query that someone does in the search query, right? You want to add that to your website. Now, here's a great little strategy that we're using all the time. And this is Margaret, and she's the receptionist at one of our clients' law firms. I'm kidding, she's not actually the receptionist. But what we do in this instance is we give Margaret a checklist, a little clipboard. And we say, every time someone calls in and they ask a question, do us a huge favor. This is really important for our SEO. Write the question down and keep a list for us. And then what we do is we answer all those questions on the website. Now, why is this so valuable? Well, basically because today we search differently. We used to type in keyword phrases, like we would type in search engine agency, and then it wouldn't come up, and then like all these international things would come up. We'd put in search engine agency Florida, and then we type in best search engine agency Florida. And we used to type in keyword phrases and refine our search. But now we just go to Siri or Google Voice or Alexa, and we just ask the question. We say, hey Siri, who's the best search engine agency in Florida? And Google, as we saw, has done a couple major algorithm updates to understand semantics, to basically understand sentences, languages. And so what we want to do is we want to find the questions that people are asking our organization by asking Margaret and the intake department and the sales department and looking at the queries on our website. We want to find out what are the questions people are asking us and answer those questions in the form of articles on our website. And when we're really, really successful, we get rewarded with a rich snippet. One of our clients gets rewarded here for a search for Florida will contest statute of limitations. There's one paid ad, and then they come up with this box. And we're calling this position 0 in search engine language because there's 10 SEO results on a page, as we talked about earlier. But if Google shows an answer box, or what they call a rich snippet, it actually comes up in position 0 ahead of position 1. So it's the first and best organic result. It's put in a box, so Google's like calling it out, saying, hey, this is really important, we're putting it in a box. And a rich snippet is like a snippet of text that Google snips from your website and they put as the best answer to a question in a search query. So that's one of the other reasons why we're collecting questions and we're writing answers to questions. And whenever you can, write the single best answer to that question and get that context on your website. Another place to get a bunch of great questions is this website called answerthepublic.com. So in this example, I put in the term car accident lawyer, and it tells you, here's a bunch of phrases like motor vehicle accident lawyer near me, best car accident attorneys near me, good car accident lawyers near me, top car accident lawyers near me, automobile accident lawyers near me. And it gives you a whole bunch of keyword phrases or questions, if you will, that you can write as blog posts on your website. They'll also give you alphabeticals with geographic regions that you could add to your website. Another great source for this is Google Suggest. So when you just go and you type in personal injury, Google Suggest says, oh, did you mean to add the word lawyer, personal injury lawyer, or personal injury protection, or personal injury protection Florida? I guess Google knew I was doing this search in Florida. Personal injury lawyer near me. So go into Google Suggest. You know that Google has had a lot of searches for these phrases. They're suggesting them to people, and add these phrases when you're looking for content or articles to write and add to your website. Look at the data from your internal site search. Go to tools like Quora and online question and answer sites to find hot questions, write great answers, and put the answers on your website, and you've got a chance to rank for those phrases. Now, we do keyword research. This is an old screenshot of a tool called Search and SEM Rush, and we look for phrases that we're ranking for, and more importantly, on our own website, we look for phrases that were on like page 2 of a search. So if you remember, there's 10 results on the first page of a Google search. Well, here is one of our clients' websites, and he's in the 3rd position on the 2nd page. So there's 10 results on the first page, 10 results on the 2nd page. Position 13 is the number 3 result on page 2. So what a great keyword phrase to write an article about. And guess what? It happens to be a question. What is securities fraud? What if we wrote the best answer to the question, what is securities fraud? We add that to our blog on our website. Maybe we also add it to like LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, so that a bunch of social signals link to that page on our website where we answer the question. Maybe we can get some local links to link back to that page. And the best possible links we can get are naturally occurring links when other people link to that page on our website. Another strategy is to look for phrases that your competitors are already ranking for and you're not ranking for, and create a page of content all about that. What about phrases that your competitors buying pay-per-click ads? This is a tool called SpyFu, and it shows us all the keyword phrases that a website is buying paid Google ads, and it shows us how much ad testing they're doing. And you can even click this and go to the landing page. So we can reverse engineer the top performing phrases on our website, on our competitors' websites, and the pay-per-click words they're buying. And that gives us our strategy that we're going to brief our bloggers, we're going to give them a whole bunch of keyword phrases, and then we're going to write what we call an SEO Site Architecture and pick some keyword phrases we want to add to each of the pages on our website. Now, how many pages, how many words do you write? I'm always asked this question. Basically, you want to write between 250 and 1,000 words per page. Why is that? Well, Google only reads the first 1,000 words on a page. So you want to have like at least 250, so you got a little bit of meat on the page, meat in terms of enough words that Google can sort of grab it and analyze it. And like I said before, you want to write really, really great answers to questions or queries, and each page should have a ton of words answering the question. And you don't have to go more, like if you can answer the question with 600 words, that's completely fine. But really you just want to answer the question. And word count, again, is one of those things you can just download the words on a page into a Word doc and just do a word count to see how many words are on the page. All right, so that got us through the ABCs of SEO. The first thing is the architecture on the website. You got to make sure the code is clean, your site is fast, and you do the mobile test on your website. And we talked about a bunch of other strategies, like installing Google Analytics and Webmaster tools, or what's now called Search Console. So we evaluate the website, we clean up things like broken links. The B is backlinks. That's other sites linking to us. We want high quality backlinks that are really relevant, like that link from Cornell University Law School to our client's website. That's very high quality and very relevant, and it's going to improve our SEO results. And then you want to do a search and make sure you get rid of any of the spammy links, things like .rus, casino sites, adult sites, things like that, that someone might have acquired years ago for your website. You've got to get rid of that because that's actually having a negative effect on your website. And finally, the content strategies. More than anything, you want to write the best piece of content about any topic on your website, and then you want to get lots of folks to link to those great articles on your website. All right, so that wraps up the prepared content. And if you guys want to just hop in the chat section, I'll be happy to answer any questions. So you can just jump on the chat, and I see a couple people had problems with voice quality. I hope that wasn't me on the recording. We'll have to do this all again. But if anyone wants to hop in the chat and ask a question, that'd be great. Okay. Can you expand on the backlinks from USA Today that the law firm got? Okay, that's a great question. So basically, that was a really great article that they wrote on the website. And what they wrote was 10 things to do after you're in a car accident. And they wrote a really long and very detailed article about that. They had a little infographic about 10 things to do after you're in a car accident. And they were able to build links from over 35 different websites to that page. And then that page was ranking #1 and it was a rich snippet. It was like in an answer box for the question about the ranking on the website. Oh, hey, Brian Walton. Can you talk about the importance of Google My Business for local retail? Well, that's a really great question, Brian. And we covered that in detail on a webinar last month. And I think you can find that on our YouTube page. But I'll definitely touch on, sort of 3 of the core things for Google My Business. So the first thing, obviously, is you got to claim your Google My Business. And oh, thanks, Dylan. Just put the link in the chat box if you want to get the link to that webinar. What you want to do is you want to claim your Google My Business. So if you search your business name and it hasn't been claimed, you can say, hey, I own this business, and you can claim the business. Google's going to send you a postcard, and then you've got to put that code into the website, and then you can claim what's called Google My Business, or the back end of the Google Doc. So now you own your Google My Business, or your Google Maps sort of mini website, if you will, the Google mini website. I like to say it's actually the new social media sites for businesses, because people can go in there and they can comment, they can post pictures, they can do reviews, they can ask you questions. So it really functions like a Facebook or a LinkedIn for every business. So now you claimed that you own it. So here's the 3 most important things. #1, you need lots of reviews. So you want to ask happy clients to give you a review. You want to give them the link to the actual page where they can do that review. Make it really, really easy for them. #2 is you've got to get lots of content updated on that page. So there's a thing called updates. You can add pictures, you can add videos, you can add little mini articles, like 100-word articles, and link to your blog posts on your Google My Business. So #1 is you want to claim it. You need lots of reviews. #2 is you need content, and you want to update it like in our whole SEO webinar. You want to update Google My Business the same way you update your website content. And then the final thing is something we call NAP, name, address, and phone number. You've got to have very consistent listings all throughout the internet. I talked earlier about like your Chamber of Commerce listing and your association listings and your yellow page listings. You just want to go and make sure everything is identical. And so that when you're linking to your website, our company is listed as 10 Golden Rules, TEN Golden Rules. And we're at 2701 Northwest 2nd Avenue, Suite 216. But we don't want to put number 16, 216, or unit 216. We've got to make sure it's very, very consistently listed. And we recently moved, so we went and checked all of these listings to make sure we've updated all of our listings throughout the internet. So I hope that helps, Brian. That's some pretty good questions. That's a really good question. Hey, Jamie, another really good question. Jamie's a jewelry designer, and she says, holiday season is here. What would you recommend the top 3 must-dos for SEO if you're just starting out? Well, you know, it's a tough question about holiday season because SEO generally takes time. Like everything we talked about here, if you did it all and you did it great, it would generally take, you know, 3 months to see any results and 6 to 12 months to start really making some money off the traffic that you're getting. But, you know, if I'd recommend the top 3 must-dos for SEO, the first thing I would do is I would go back through the webinar and check off, or, you know, the checklist actually. Hopefully everybody got the checklist. Go through the checklist and just check off all those architectural things. Make sure your site's fast. Make sure your site's mobile friendly according to Google. So, you know, first things first, make sure architecturally your site's strong. And number 2 is I would develop a content strategy or a content calendar. And basically that content calendar is going to schedule out, you know, an article for every week that you're going to write. And one of the things we do with our clients is really simple, is you can actually answer those questions in the form of a video. So Jamie, you could get someone, and I can recommend someone if you want, to shoot a bunch of videos. So over the next couple weeks, collect all the questions that people are asking you about your products, about your jewelry, about delivery, about Christmas, about pricing, about gifting, and on and on. Then sit down with a videographer and answer those 10 questions on little Q&A videos. Then you're going to post those videos on YouTube and on your website and on your Facebook and on all your social media. But then you're going to take each of those videos and transcribe it and have a writer write it up as a little article, a Q&A article that you can put on your website for SEO purposes. And then you can also cascade that to all the other places on your website, as I mentioned. So like a waterfall cascades down, you can cascade it like a waterfall to all your social media, to Facebook, to LinkedIn, to Twitter, etc. And obviously for jewelry design site, Instagram's probably going to be, you know, really your mini homepage, almost as important as your website itself. So I think you asked for 3 things. Number 1 was go through the architectural checklist. Number 2 is create some videos. And number 3, I would say, is cascade those as articles and little social media posts to your website. Hey, Michael Gussman's on the webinar. Hey, buddy, good to see you. What's the latest you're doing with YouTube? What would that be part of the content? Well, that's a great question. So I think I just covered that, ironically, with the question. And one of the, you know, as I mentioned in the architecture, or sorry, in the content section, is absolutely the best thing you can do today for SEO is answer questions. Why is that? Well, 2 reasons. Number 1 is you're answering the question when people come to the website. And when you're answering the query, people are going to have success when they come to the website, right? They're going to do what Google calls dwell on your website. Dwell time has become a major factor in Google's algorithm. I was tempted to call this the A, B, C, and D's of SEO, right? Because dwell time, the amount of time they spend on your website. So if you're answering their question and you've got the best answer to their question on your website, you're going to have really good data. When Google sends a search result to your website, people are going to spend time there. They're going to read it. They're going to download, you know, your checklist. Like if you guys downloaded our checklist, it's going to show that they're dwelling and engaging with your website. And Google rewarded the user with the best result by sending them to your website, right? You wrote the best answer to a question on your web page. So now let's extend that out to YouTube. What if you shoot a video, add the video to YouTube, optimize your YouTube page with tags and descriptions and great information about yourself and your company. Then each of the videos is going to be optimized with tags and descriptions about the content of the video. And then you're going to take the code, the code from the YouTube page, and copy and paste that onto your website so that the video also appears on your website. And then you're going to write a description so that you're actually optimizing that page uniquely on the website. So I hope that answers your question in a little bit more detail about videos. All right, gang. Well, we're just about where I want it to be. We're about 50 minutes. So I'm going to wrap up. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Feel free to send me any questions to jay@10goldenrules.com. That's JAY@TENGoldenrules.com. And if we can help you in any way with your marketing, just reach out to me, either through the website or through my email. And I'd be happy to do an analysis of your ABCs and see if we can help improve your SEO on your website. Thank you very much for your time and attention, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.